Today, I figured we would talk about some of the top altcoins that I am seeing, at least right now, and what we could see them do potentially in a better, kind of more favorable season for altcoins. I do think this is coming around the corner. We've talked about this several times here on the channel over the past several months probably, and kind of the path that we've been going on to get up until this point. So if you haven't seen any of those, of course you can go look at my other videos, but I want to talk about specifically the coins that I have my eyes closest on and the ones that I think can do the best here, because there's a lot of opportunity here in the market. Obviously there's millions and well, maybe not millions, but thousands and thousands of coins here in the crypto space. And so of course, now more than ever, it's becoming especially important to make sure that you choose the right horse. And so I've identified some that, in my opinion, I think are pretty compelling for various different reasons. And then you, of course, can kind of make your own decisions from there and, you know, decide if there's something that kind of works for you or not or whatever. Of course, this is not meant to be financial advice. This is just me telling you what I personally find interesting. And then from there, you can do your own research. You can make your own decisions. You are a grown adult that, you know, is going to be responsible for their own money. So you definitely should be kind of keeping that in mind. Now, let's go ahead and we'll take a look. We'll actually just jump right on in. We'll take a look here at CoinGecko. I've come up with an alts to watch list here. And we can see, you know, kind of a whole bunch here. I'm not going to be going through all of them, just rest assured there. I've actually been kind of talking to people in the comment section, and I've seen a lot of things and questions that I've received where people, I think, get this misconception that I'm like 100% allocated into altcoins. And I wanted to kind of dispel that really quick. Right up here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. The very, very large majority of my total crypto holdings are in these three. And kind of within those three, the very large majority of those holdings are within Bitcoin, and then kind of next into Ethereum, and then after that, my smallest being Solana. So I did want to just make that very clear that even though I think some of these coins have incredibly massive upside, I'm still holding the vast majority of my crypto in kind of the big ones that I have conviction in long term. Now, of course, excuse me, I'm still getting over being a little bit sick this week, but of course, you know, that doesn't mean that we can't have exposure to these. And one of the things that I'm going to be telling you about with several of them is will hopefully show you that even a very small allocation, as we've talked about in the past, where even if you have a 5 to 10% allocation in Bitcoin relative to the rest of your investments, we're talking stocks, real estate, things like that, that allocation into Bitcoin, if it keeps up at continued rates of what we've seen in the past, that even very small 5 to 10% allocation can end up becoming 50 to 60% of your portfolio. Well, very likely the same here with altcoins, right? Altcoins are much more risky, so they have a lot more risk. But also with that, if the reward pays off, the reward is very, very much higher. And so because of that, in my opinion, we don't need to actually allocate as heavily into some of these as we might otherwise, because they have such a large upside. You don't have to kind of compensate in that same way. You can leave 1, 5%, you know, maybe even 10 if you're really nuts and have super high conviction in some of these. But you can leave those amounts in your portfolio, and if they do well, they can easily become 20, 30, 50, 80, 90% of your portfolio, depending on kind of what exactly happens here. So just want to be very, very clear about that and kind of explain to you how I'm viewing this. So with that said, we'll actually just kind of pick and choose from different things on the list in terms of my level of conviction. First one, this actually might be a surprise to some of you. If I had to pick my highest conviction coin in this list, it's going to be either Zebec or Simple AI. We'll get into both of them, and then we'll kind of go from there. Many of you who have followed me for a while might be surprised that ICP is not there. I still have incredibly high conviction in ICP, but we have seen some things recently in the kind of fundamental data that frankly does not look super bullish. And so, you know, as much as I'm a ICP fanboy and I want ICP to be successful, I'm not going to ignore facts. That is called bad investing. So what I'm seeing right now between Zebec and Simple AI, we will probably start with Zebec because Zebec has seen some really, really impressive moves. This one, we have, you know, we've made recent videos about Zebec. This one is just absolutely unstoppable. It's been crushing. It's been doing very, very well while the market is otherwise in a bad position. You can see here it's actually absolutely exploded over the past couple of months, and it's seen a decent retrace that has then immediately come right back. And if you look, it's still only 500 million. And in the market that they're trying to address, that to me feels relatively small, and we could still see some pretty large upside from here as it relates to Zebec. So of course, we'll have to see exactly how far this goes and what happens. I don't want to, this isn't meant to be a deep dive into every single coin. This is just me kind of giving a brief overview. So if you are looking for more details of why exactly I have the conviction that I do in Zebec, you can of course look at my previous videos. Probably not much has changed from there, especially with some of these that I talk about very frequently. They're probably only a couple of days old. So Zebec, I think, is looking very, very good. They've got a lot of their compliance stuff getting worked out. It's on the roadmap, and they are doing a really great job marketing. Plus, they're backed by a lot of really strong really strong and big names in the crypto space. So I'm super bullish on Zebec. I think that they are going to do very, very well. The narrative in itself, I think, will carry it pretty far. The next one I have here is Simple AI. Simple AI is a complete kind of opposite end of the spectrum here, in the sense that you can see this is an absolute micro cap. And the reason why I have such conviction on this is because it, in my opinion, is just nobody knows about it. And since nobody knows about it, that's where you can see some mega upside coming through. I'll probably be talking a little bit more. Maybe I'll do another deep dive video into Simple. I did one a couple months or maybe a couple weeks back at this point. Still basically the same exact conviction there. Nothing has really changed. If anything, it's changed for the more positive, because the team has been absolutely shipping ever since they launched their token. Just things are constantly, go follow their Twitter account. You will see things are constantly changing. New partnerships are constantly being made. It's just always going on and on and on. So this is another, again, it's it's a tiny micro cap token. So you could see here, and even just like super minuscule allocation, if this one meets to some of the levels of peers in the space, you will see some ridiculous moves coming here from Simple if it does actually do that. Now, of course, you can see volume still very low, a lot of that type of stuff. So there is mega upside here, but again, it's also very small, so it's super, super high risk. If you look, I have actually put together a bunch of kind of what I would consider comparables for Simple AI. You can see here, even some of the smallest ones are, 20 to 80 million here. And then you look at obviously AI16Z was kind of an anomaly there, and Virtuals has been just absolutely smashed. So I'm not insinuating that these are, the direct comparables. I think probably kind of within this range are the ones that are most directly comparable. And they're sitting at, this is 13x, this is 18x, this is 30x, this is 40x. This is 43x up from where Simple is currently. So I would say do not sleep on this one. This is one that I'm very, very interested to watch how it goes. But again, of course, it is very high risk. So just note that is the case. But I'm super, super bullish on Simple long term. Next one, we will probably go to ICP. ICP, I think from a pure tech perspective, is the best crypto in the entire crypto space. Price action wise, really terrible. It's done a pretty poor job kind of ever since it launched in just having like a sustained positive price action. There is a lot of speculation as to various things that could have maybe negatively influenced that. But I mean, that's the kind of set of cards that we were dealt, and this is the facts that we are playing against. So we will have to just kind of see how this goes. But I do think that tech-wise, ICP is very much so the best. And if we can see kind of the narrative and the sentiment of the crypto market flip, we could see ICP make some insane gains. So this is almost kind of, this is betting on the dark horse, maybe being a little bit of a contrarian pick here, because obviously there's not the price action to support it. So that's kind of my thought there. It's just, this is purely a tech play. If we look at something like Kaspa is going to be similar to ICP, except it's had a little bit better of some fortunes here than what ICP has seen. Kaspa is purely essentially kind of a tech play as well. A lot of people are trying to ship it or bill it as like the Bitcoin 2.0. Obviously the block DAG type of infrastructure. Again, if you're not aware of that, go find one of my Kaspa videos where we do talk about that. But the block DAG infrastructure is actually really interesting and novel tech. I think it could do really, really well. And I think that we could see Kaspa continue to actually outperform and overperform a lot of these different things over the next several years. The big problem is right now is they're essentially completely rebuilding the blockchain infrastructure using a block DAG, right? So there's a lot of things that they need to be getting caught up on with smart contracts and NFTs and all the various, account abstraction and stuff that's going on. They're behind on all of this. And so I think that's part of the reason that we're seeing the market cap kind of at the rate that it is. And hopefully we see it continue to perform. But again, it's all on the team to execute and the market to kind of move in that direction. Couple other ones here. We've got Onyxcoin. Onyxcoin is one I'll stay pretty brief about. I think Onyxcoin, in my opinion, is largely a beta play view to XRP. You can see kind of what it's done in the past. Obviously, it had a little bit of a rough go here in 2024. There's a lot of hype kind of on launch. Again, I think probably due to the XRP kind of relations there, but it has come down fairly significantly. So there is a pretty clear roadmap of where we could get back to the upside. But there is also some definite risk here because it is smaller, and I would consider this a lot more of a narrative play based on what happens with regulation and XRP specifically. It is kind of what I would say here with Onyxcoin, but I do still think there's plenty of potential upside here with Onyxcoin. Now, moving along, let's move up to Sui and Hyperliquid. So Sui is one that I personally think just look at how well it's done. It's done incredibly well. We're seeing it hold fairly well. It's getting kind of in a more of a consolidationary type of pattern. We're seeing higher highs continually. I don't know that we've ever seen a lower low yet from Sui. They've seen some mega partnerships coming in. The price action here has been incredibly strong. This is one that I think will be quite difficult to bet against. And keep in mind, this is market cap. So even if you look at price, we're going to see something similar. But as the coin continues to dilute, we're still seeing market cap hold up fairly well. So I'm quite impressed with what we've seen out of Sui. I think that we will continue to see it perform quite well, though it is a VC coin, so it does kind of scare me a little bit. But I do think that just everything that the team has produced and everything that the team has shipped so far has been really, really quite impressive. Next one here, we also have kind of last up is Hyperliquid. This is actually not something that I own currently, and this is kind of an honorable mention. This is one that I would say I don't have a ton of conviction in currently, but it's one I'm keeping very, very close watch on, because if you can see, it has done just incredibly well. The price has held up very strong, and it's got some really good legs to it. I think if we go back, actually. It may not be here anymore, but one of the news posts on the bottom of the portfolio was essentially saying that Hyperliquid has 35% of total blockchain revenue. That is insane. The amount of volume and usage and metrics and things actually happening and moving through Hyperliquid is frankly ridiculous. And so that's one of the reasons why I've kept such a close eye on it, is because I do think it could actually perform really quite well. Now, it is a larger coin, so that does mean that the upside may be kind of somewhat minimal relative to some of these smaller ones that we have down here. But I do think, when you're talking about Hyperliquid, which is what is this, 1/7 of the price or total market cap of Solana, and we're seeing it do more revenue than Solana, to me, that's a pretty good indication that you might have something here. And so this is why I'm looking very, very closely at Hyperliquid. I've not opened a position into this one yet, but I am watching, as I said, very, very closely, and we'll be looking to kind of see what happens here. So overall, those are kind of my top alts to watch. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. Of course, none of this was meant to be price predictions or investment advice or anything like that. These are just coins that I personally am looking at and things that I have found my own convictions in. That it's up to you to find your own convictions in them. And of course, hopefully this video did help you learn a little bit more about them and maybe give you a starting place. But I would say, probably a pretty bad idea if you're looking to use just my videos and my videos alone as a way to develop your own convictions. I just don't have the time to sit here and provide all of the nuance and detail. Also, people probably would not watch it. So, I just, that is up to you to make sure that you're kind of doing your own research and piecing together the information that you find to be sufficient for you to make a decision. That's kind of on your own. And also you can see here, I actually just found it. Hyperliquid captures 35% of blockchain revenue, surpassing Solana in July. So really, really insane. Anyway, a little bit of a distraction moment there, but hopefully you found the information in this video useful. Of course, if you did, like and a subscribe always does help, and you can click that notification bell if you are looking to keep up with many of these altcoins that I have covered here. I cover them fairly frequently on the channel, so if you're looking for updates on them, feel free to hit that notification bell. That will be a good way to stay involved. So anyway, also if you have any comments, questions, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.